non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
But we got a team in here. And this is like intent. Now every time I beer, we gotta score. Let's go.
Yeah. We need the Vikings, even though they don't play a game until September, to bring us some joy today as we lick our Timberwolves Game 3 wounds. God. If you're looking for that vent line session and then a follow-up pie chart of blame and some therapy, you can find that on the Score North YouTube channel and also on Mackie and Judd. But this is daily Vikings entertainment right here. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. We tell you that every day on the show. And we're excited for next week's Surly Purple Daily Draft Party. No cover charge to get in. We'll talk about that later on in the show, but night one of the draft, mark your calendars. Come hang out with us at Surly Brewing Company. Again, we'll talk more about it, but also a shout-out to TCL, one of the world's best-selling consumer electronics brands. They have a new lineup of award-winning TVs delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution, all at an affordable cost. Enjoy more of the things you love with TCL. You guys ready for some 4-Question Friday here? Friday?
Yes, of course.
All right.
Of course.
Okay, then. Okie dokie.
Oh, okay. Whoops.
Let me just sneak past you there.
Whoops. Happy to be here.
Let's start with question number 1 here, which is sort of it's like a bundle of questions from ESPN.com. Our friend Kevin Seifert is taking over Vikings coverage for ESPN.com, Judd's former partner on the Star Tribune beat back in the day.
One of the best in the business.
He is an excellent football writer and reporter. And so he was part of a group of NFC North beat writers that broke down their teams in 5 categories. And so let's go through real quick, like first answer that pops into your head in these 5 categories.
Okay.
The first one is best offseason move so far for the Vikings.
Zadarius Smith signing. If it works, it's genius. If it doesn't, it hurts, but it's still a good chance. Like, it's not like you gave up a lot or a thing to get him. I think adding a potential guy off the edge who can combine with Hunter at the left end is a really solid move, and it helps everything, right? Like, because it's going to help your cornerbacks, because if Smith can stay healthy, theoretically is going to affect quarterback play. To me, best offseason move, Zadarius Smith.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with Judd. Zadarius, I think it's great. The Packers are paying him not to play for him, which I always love. I love when a player is so good, the other team has to pay him not to play for them. But the upside's still there. Like, Zadarius Smith was a damn good player with the Packers, and I know he only played like 1 regular season game, came back for the playoffs, but you're talking about a legit 2-headed monster with Daniil and Zadarius. I'm all about it. I think that was easily the best one.
You know, I don't know if coaches qualify. I think Kevin O'Connell would be my favorite offseason move. I do think bringing a bright offensive mind in is the way to go in today's NFL, but I'm going to say Chris Reed. I know that he's not sexy or flashy or the highest paid player that they acquired this offseason, but he, damn it, is a league average right guard, and the Vikings have been looking for that for a long time. So if your offensive line can just be average, and Chris Reed coming over from the Colts has a chance to help you there, it's a weak link unit, the offensive line, as smart people would say, and you just need to avoid weak links like Oli Udoh. So Chris Reed is actually my favorite signing so far. All right, the second category is the biggest area of remaining concern.
I would say, in fairness, is probably cornerback. Just as far as, like, are they going to draft one, or if they don't, are they going to find, so it'll be Dantzler, the guy that they signed for the Packers, and Pat P, which is, workable. But I think depth there, because certainly guys are going to get hurt. That's a place where you essentially have 3 starters. So I would say cornerback would be my biggest area of remaining concern. Doesn't mean I would necessarily draft one in the first round.
Put some respect on Chandon Sullivan's name, okay?
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Come on.
The guy for the Packers.
Chandon Sullivan.
The guy for the Packers. All the Vikings do is sign
we have
guys
a couple.
from the Packers.
Yeah.
Well, and
guys from the Packers.
For
me, philosophy of running it back. Like, are you making, like, it's a broad thing, but are you making the right decision here? Because, I mean, you're making little plug-and plays with Harrison Phillips, and yeah, you're betting high on Zadarius Smith, and yeah, you brought in some slappy offensive linemen that hopefully can just maintain the guard positions and get it back to being league average. But can you really go from an 8-win team to being an 11, 12-win team overnight? I don't know. I think philosophy is just the biggest question I have.
I think even though they signed Jordan Hicks and Eric Kendricks is coming back, I think linebacker, so your base defense is going to be a 3-4, and so you're going to need more linebacker depth. Now, Zadarius Smith probably technically is a linebacker in that scheme, so there's some depth right there, but I think the fact that Jordan Hicks and Eric Kendricks are on the wrong side of the linebacker age curve, even though they are tackling machines and they're at their best, they're both really, really good. I just worry about the depth and age of the Vikings linebacker unit. So secondarily, I would say center. The fact that they're just rolling forward with, at this point, Garrett Bradbury, I think is the biggest area of concern along the offensive line. All right, the next category here is who makes sense with the first pick. Is there a player, or you want to go out on a limb here and throw something out?
I guess who makes sense with the first pick makes sense if you phrase it that way. If he's there, is Stingley. I said, cornerbacks area of concern for me. If he's available at 12, he certainly has first round and probably potentially top 10 first round talent. So he makes the most sense. That doesn't mean I wouldn't be tempted to address a different need, for instance, wide receiver. But just as the way that you phrased the question and ESPN did, Derek Stingley makes the most sense. Yeah. Junior.
Yeah, it's just a defensive back. It's a cornerback. And Stingley probably is the guy you can put the name on it, but they don't have much help there. And you have to figure out a way to stop the pass. I just think if they can figure out a way to get an impact defensive player, great. Because they'll need one to basically be a plug-and-day, day one starter with that 12th overall pick if they indeed stay there. And that player has to contribute. Like, he might take some lumps in his rookie year, and obviously over the longevity, you hope he turns into a cornerstone player. But that player that they pick at 12 has to be an immediate impact player.
Yeah, I think trading back and collecting more capital and then still landing Trent McDuffie is something that makes a lot of sense. If you're looking for... So Stingley probably has the most upside, but there's a volatility factor there that just makes you a little nervous that his last big healthy season was 2019. I think a lot of people are saying, and be aware of this because people were saying the same thing about Garrett Bradbury at center a few years ago, is that Trent McDuffie is kind of a plug and play, just ready to be a pro day one for you. Maybe he could play slot and give you some more depth. So I think I love the idea of drafting a wide receiver still, but I'm not going to force it. I think you should have your eye on best player available, but if it happens to be a wide receiver, don't shy away because, you already got Jefferson and Thielen. Next category here is Vikings win the division if blank.
Oh, that's simple. If KOC is the brains and Kirk is the arm, that's how. I cannot, and I'm going to continue, and people get mad, but I will harp on this now because I think it's a very important point. The pressure on Kirk Cousins now is immense. Like, all the problems have been stripped away. Like, if Mike was the boogeyman, Zimmer's gone. Clint Kubiak was terrible, which I really do agree with. He's gone, right? So, like, if you look at everything that the Kirk stands pointed to and said, how is my guy going to succeed with that there is gone. And Phil, to your point with Chris Reed, the offensive line now clearly, as defined by guys who have a vested interest in seeing Cousins succeed and who were partially brought here to make sure that happened, are saying this offensive line is good enough. So the Vikings win the division if KOC is the brains and Kirk is the arm, and they combine to maximize what we have always expected from Kirk. I think it's that simple.
It'd be if the offense indeed goes to top 5. If they are a top 5 offense and break that glass ceiling of not being just 11th or 14th, but having all the horses on this offense, and it becomes a legitimate top 5 run the track meet kind of offense. I'm not saying the defense can be irrelevant. Like, they can't be 31st for the third straight season like they have been. But if the defense just makes marginal improvements, but the offense hits the top 5 ceiling, they will be a playoff team and probably winning the NFC North.
Mm-hmm. All right, this might sound crazy, but I think the Vikings win the division if they just stay healthy. I think health is actually a bigger question than almost anything. Danielle Hunter's barely played the last couple of years. Zadarius Smith missed almost all of last year. Like, if those guys are on the field and healthy, that defense is drastically different. Offensively, if Adam Thielen can play the entire season, Dalvin Cook, these are huge ifs, and I think it's unlikely that they all stay healthy. Right. But I will take the Vikings. Listen, Aaron Rodgers has definitely shown some weird flaws in the playoffs the last few years, but I would still take Aaron Rodgers over Kirk Cousins in the regular season, even though Rodgers is pushing 40 years old. But the Vikings roster is pretty solid. There's not a lot of big-time gaping hole weak links. The Packers have a very solid roster too, but they just lost Devontae Adams and Zadarius Smith. So I think if the Vikings can stay healthy, it's going to be a fight for number one. And then the last one in this category from ESPN.com is your way too early bold Vikings prediction.
Kirk Cousins, top 3 MVP.
Wow. Look at Judd.
Well, but I mean, he should be. Like, they're giving him everything. They're basically saying this.
He should be?
They are saying this guy, in their minds, he's a star. He's being paid like a star. He's having everything tailored to him. Yes.
But do you think, but I mean, Josh Allen should be, Patrick Mahomes should be,
right? But I'm saying
Justin Herbert maybe should be,
but if
Russell Wilson.
But if they're not, if Mahomes or Allen going into 2022 are not at the top of the voting for MVP, I think it's disappointing. So I'm going to lump Kirk in with them. Okay. I'm going to say, look, when you tailor everything to the guy and basically lay out, like, they're like, Kirk, your life is now as simple as executing a plan that we think in their minds can't fail, which is fine. Like, it should be awesome. But my bold prediction is that this guy should be in the top 3 of MVP voting.
Okay. I'll say this one. I think Justin Jefferson leads the NFL in receiving yards and touchdowns. And he should, right? Like, he's a bona fide top 5 guy. But I think Justin Jefferson now explodes and takes that next step. Like, it's a wide receiver league right now, dude. There's so many good wide receivers out there. But I think Justin Jefferson emerges as the number 1 dude. He's been so good these first 2 seasons. And I feel like this next third year with Kevin O'Connell leaning into him, being basically the Cooper Kupp of this offense, which JJ has talked about a ton, he becomes the number 1 wide receiver in the NFL.
So I was going to go, I'll stick with mine because it's a similar one. I'm going to say Justin Jefferson is the most targeted wide receiver in the NFL. So last year he was actually 4th in targets, which is great. And they under-targeted him for chunks of the first half of the season, and they made up for it back half of the season. So he had 167 targets. Cooper Kupp had 191. So they went into those games and they said, okay, we are for sure throwing the ball to Cooper Kupp 10 or more times every single game without exception. We're not going to force it, but we're going to scheme him open and make sure that our most impactful weapon gets the football as often as possible. So I think that's going to be part of the Kevin O'Connell ethos, say that 5 times fast, is just making sure that Justin Jefferson is the Cooper Kupp of this offense. So, all right, question number 2. That was bin of questions number 1.
Wow.
And now we get to question number 2 here. Some more therapy, mostly selfishly. So the Timberwolves blew a 26-point lead last night. They almost blew that in the first half, and they built another 25-point lead, and they blew that. What is the most pissed off you've ever been at the Vikings? Because I think last night was the most mad I've ever been at the Timberwolves. What's the most mad you've ever been at the Vikings?
Go ahead, Judd.
2009. When you pissed away that game, like, statistically, and I covered them, so I wasn't like pissed off as a Vikings fan, but as a football fan, I was baffled and pissed off because it was such an egregious misuse of a lead of a game that you statistically dominated.
Yeah.
And you come out of a timeout with 12 men in the huddle. Like, I mean, the Favre pick, maddening. The Peterson fumbles, the fumble that was charged to Favre at the goal line or near the goal line at the end of the first half. But 12 men in the huddle out of a timeout in the most important game of a lot of people's lives. That's, if you're not pissed off about seeing that egregious error and misuse of a football game, I don't know what pisses you off.
Yeah, it's a tie for me for that one. I was 17, so like I was midway through junior year of high school and just like at your peak fandomness and when they lost that game, because that was also during the time when they were still doing like the stadium debates, right? Like, are the Vikings going to get a new stadium, or are they going to potentially move? I think I remember being like, just go to Los Angeles. I'm done with this. Like, I remember being like 17 and being emotionally overreacting, kind of like we were to the Wolves a little bit last night. I remember just being like, just go away. Just go away. I remember very vividly coming home and just saying, go away. I don't want to see this team anymore.
At this point, I still don't regret anything I said about the Timberwolves or Karl Anthony Towns last night, including the use of the word clown about 15 different times. Give me another 48 hours and we'll see. So, obviously, 2009, just a debacle. So I was 12 in 1998, and I was more just sad. I didn't know what to do. I was 12. It never entered my mind that they were going to lose a home game to the Falcons.
Right.
So I was just sad. But I think legitimately the angriest I've been was the NFC Championship game in 2017, because they were on the doorstep. They took a 7-0 lead in that game. They had the best defense in the NFL, and they were facing a backup quarterback in a franchise that traditionally tends to choke in big games too, the Philadelphia Eagles. And they were on the doorstep of playing a home Super Bowl at US Bank Stadium.
Which is now the norm.
Right, it's happened
twice
in a row,
become the norm. Everybody plays at home.
Yep. And they just put up an embarrassing defensive performance. They stopped scoring points. They got beat, 38-7 or whatever it was in that game.
Yeah.
And I just remember being furious. You wasted the Minneapolis Miracle. That could have been the great springboard into the first championship in franchise history, and you wasted it.
Which, by the way, is also a great choke job. That is one of the great choke jobs, but they came back because what's-his-face decided to dive at Diggs in one of the most inexplicable, stupid things I've ever seen. But if you recall, at halftime, we were like, I think the Vikings were up, 17-0? Nothing. Yeah. And literally the Vikings spent the second half gagging and then won it. And so we were like, this is a great win. But that was a very cautionary game. That would have been on the list, much like the Wolves last night, if that guy hadn't dived at Diggs's feet and missed him completely.
That guy, by the way, has become an excellent player.
Williams,
man.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
He just got another big contract or something.
Yeah.
So all right. Before we get to question number 3 here, which is our mock-a-day, we are super excited. Less than a week away from night 1 of the NFL draft, and we would love to see as many of you guys as possible at Surly Brewing Company for the Surly Purple Daily Draft Party Extravaganza. Judd, tell the audience about it.
Oh, I'm going to tell you about an event at Surly Brewing. The doors open at 3. We start at 6, and it is going to be fantastic. Among the opportunities that are going to exist, and by the way, admission, let's see, how much is it? Oh, it's $0. An opportunity to walk away with a TCL TV and an opportunity to sip on a one-night-only special Surly branded and Score North, I guess you could say, beer before I die, which is the mission statement of the Vikings fans and, you know what, of all sports fans in this God-forsaken state, at least for the men's teams. Before I die beer, one night only. Again, doors open at 3. We start at 6. We go until the draft is done, and we want to see you there because it's going to be a great time. It's going to turn into a vent line, too. So if you have comments, if you have complaints about, heck, Mackie, Judd, and Declan, or the Vikings, we will put you on camera, give you a mic. It'll be a great evening.
Yeah, it's a 65-inch 5-series TCL Google Smart TV that you can win. We're also giving away Surly prize packages, some baseball tickets, soccer tickets, and more. And we partnered with the Food Group and Surly. If you want to bring canned food items to help stash some quality foods away for those who need it most across Minnesota. So the doors open at 3. We're going to get there pretty early just to hang out. If you guys want to come up, talk some football, and then we're going to go live on YouTube around 6 o'clock. So, all right, question number 3 here on 4 Question Friday. It's our mock-a-day. And, well, first of all, I do have a mock for you guys, but this is a question from Chiefs blogger Charles Goldman a few days ago. He says the Vikings are reported to have an interest in trading down from pick 12 in the draft. So from a Chiefs perspective, he says picks 29, 62, so back end of the first and second round, 94, and 135 would get you there, according to the draft value chart. Would you make that trade if you're the Chiefs? And if so, who are you trading up for? So let me flip it around.
Yep.
Would you trade back from 12 all the way to 29
Yep.
to pick up an extra second, third, and I believe fourth round pick this year?
Well, I don't have a fourth rounder, thanks to Chris Herndon. Thanks, Rick Spielman. Hope you're enjoying Florida right now. Well, that terrible trade you made. Part of this depends on who's available at 12. Part of it, I mean, that's a lot to go back. Like I like the accumulation of a second, third, and fourth. That's really good. But if I'm going back that far, what's my goal at that point? So I guess I would have more questions.
Depth, right? You'd be looking to about quantity of players.
But like at 29, what am I looking for at that point? Because I mean, that's basically a second round pick. I would be tempted not to. I think I want that 12th pick, or I definitely don't want to go as far back as 29 when we're probably on the borderline of second round talent creeping into the first round.
I guess I wouldn't hate it. The thing is if the Chiefs make that trade, I'm guessing they're going to do that to make an impact player, and they're probably looking at one of those wide receivers. And the revisionist history in me is going to say that the Chiefs are going to get some stud wide receiver. Patrick Mahomes is going to be throwing darts to him for the next 10 years. And yeah, the Vikings might accumulate a bunch of picks, but if the Chiefs are moving up, they're looking to get an impact wide receiver. I think that's why they would move up to do that. From the Vikings side of things, I wouldn't hate it. I guess it would give them more quantity over quality, but I don't know. To move back all that spots without a plan in mind, like Judd said, I don't know if I can do that. Also, waiting 4 hours for the Vikings pick, just selfishly, I don't want that to be the case on Thursday night.
I've had a few too many before I die beers. Who'd they take?
Amazing. Yeah, I would say, listen, the Vikings don't draft high up all that often. I guess they're in the teens pretty often, but I think you should be going for an impact player, whoever that is. I think there's such a gap between the quality of player you may get on the fringe of the top 10 versus on the back end of the first round. So I would thank you, Chiefs, for the offer. Appreciate it. If it involved a first round pick next year or something, which even then, the Chiefs, the Bills, if they're going to float next year's first round pick, it's like the 29th or 32nd pick. So I'm going to politely decline here. Here is your mock a day officially. There's a 7-rounder from CBSSports.com here. I'm just going to give you the first round up to 12. So they've got Trayvon Walker, number 1 of the Jaguars. That has picked up major steam since Peter Schrager reported on it early last week. Aiden Hutchinson to Detroit. Kayvon Thibodeau to the Texans. Kyle Hamilton to the Jets at 4. Evan Neal to the Giants. Kenny Pickett, first quarterback off the board, to the Panthers. Garrett Wilson to the Giants, first receiver off the board. Malik Willis to the Falcons at 8. Jordan Davis to the Seahawks at 9. Sauce Gardner to the Jets at 10. Jermaine Johnson to the Cardinals at 11 via trade.
Trade with the Commanders.
Very interesting.
The Commies made a trade with the Cardinals.
Yes, they did. And then Derek Stingley Jr. to the Vikings at 12. So that's now the, let's see here, 8th time in mock a day that Derek Stingley has been mocked to the Vikings. Trent McDuffie 5 times. Jermaine Johnson 3. Jordan Davis 1. Kayvon Thibodeau falling once. And then Chris Olave once.
Interesting that Sauce Gardner got so close to the Vikings in that mock.
Yeah, we haven't seen a whole lot of Vikings trading up scenarios. We do have one of those in tomorrow's episode of Purple Daily, so stay tuned for that.
All right.
And then question number 4 for you guys. It's our random would you rather question. I don't think we've done this one before, but stop me if we have. So. Would you rather give up your phone for a month or give up bathing for a month?
Can I pull the Judd Zolgad and add a caveat in this question?
No.
So I can't put on deodorant. I can't put on deodorant. I can't put on any. Does that count as bathing?
You can put on deodorant. Yeah. You're not cleaning yourself. You're just putting on.
All right. Then, yeah, I have no problem not bathing for a month. I need my cell phone. I am 1,000% addicted to my phone. I need it.
Okay. So I used to be in the poker industry, and there's a lot of degenerate gamblers in the poker industry, and there was a number of years, and I think there's still some players that do these weird prop bets, but there was a number of years where top players would, I would bet Judd $150,000 if you would get breast implants and leave them for a year, like just weird stuff like that. Or you know, I'll bet you $250,000 you can't live in your hotel bathroom for 30 days without leaving. You know, so what would it take? Like if I told you, Dex, all right, $20,000, you can't touch a phone. You can use a computer, but you can't touch your phone for 30 days. Like, what is the price point for you?
Yeah, I would probably put it at $10,000 to $20,000.
Okay.
What
if we took away a computer too, and let's say that whatever you don't worry about your job for a month. You just have to exist.
I basically can't use a phone or a computer for a month. Like 100,000.
Just a cell phone or a phone period?
Up until like 20 years ago, this was not even a scenario that was possible. So
landline, dude. Just get a landline.
I need it. I need my cell phone.
Can you imagine explaining this scenario to someone in the 1830s? All right, so here's $100,000. Just walk outside.
How about the 1980s? You could have done this. You didn't have cell phones.
All right, so Declan chooses phone.
Oh, I'm 52. I just wouldn't bathe. This isn't tough for me. I just wouldn't bathe. What do I care? I'm old, married, stay at home most of the time.
I think I'm with you guys. I think I'm good. I would I would go outside in the rain a couple times or something.
I literally don't care.
Judd's like, I haven't bathed in 20 days as it is.
I've been 20 days.
Hello. I'll go a few days without. Yeah. Yes. I full disclosure. I've done that. Not for 20 days, but I've gone days without bathing.
You know what you could do? You could hop on a bike, and you could hop on a Harley. You could hop on go to DennisKirk.com for some parts and accessories, and just drive that bike down the freeway and let the wind blow the filth off of you. That's my recommendation. Dennis Kirk has free shipping on orders over $89. They've got over 160,000 parts and accessories in stock, and they have same-day shipping on orders placed before 8 p.m., and they've been a great partner of ours at Score North and Purple Daily for a number of years. So check them out. If you like to ride more and wait less at DennisKirk.com. All right, boys, that's your 4-question Friday here on Purple Daily. Please, if you are coming in from out of town, too, for the Purple Daily Surly Draft Party, send us a note. Just DM us so we know that you're coming in from out. I've seen a couple people already say they've booked some hotels coming in from different states. That's freaking awesome.
Because I told them where the hotels are. Right. Remember when I did that and Declan almost jumped through the computer and strangled me?
It's a good thing because they're completely incapable of Googling nearby hotels.
They didn't know where the hotels were. I gave them names.
It's like when you ever have old people in your life try to give you directions. Okay, so we're going to meet here. Like, okay, so you're going to go down this street and take a left. No, just give me the address. Okay, but you want to make sure when you get to the convenience store that you take it right. Yeah.
Don't miss that light, Sonny. If you miss the light, you'll be lost.
All right, we'll see you guys. Purple Daily.